And the shamans learn the songs from their ancestors in dreams. They learn them from teachers. They learn them as children during the rituals. So the songs come from many directions. But always the most powerful healing songs are given to the shaman individually by the spirits, through a dream, through a vision. So the shamanic cultures were originally nomadic cultures, meaning that the people would travel around through enormous landscapes, often following the reindeer, for example, as the reindeer migrate through the seasons. Most of these cultures were in Siberia or North America, Canada, and these are now completely different cultures. They've been colonized, and the people's old lifestyles are no longer possible. So the shamanic cultures don't exist anymore in the old form. I was a student in art school, and I saw some photos of traditional Siberian shaman costumes, and I fell completely in love. And as an artist, I started working by creating shaman costumes, some completely my fantasy, and some based on original shaman costumes. And the costumes of the Siberian shamans are for me like a fantastic dream, an artwork and a spiritual map at the same time. So normally I don't wear these costumes. For me they were really a way to study shamanism, and I don't like to wear them because they belong to another time, another culture. So the traditional shamans, they fight evil spirits, and that's why they disguise themselves a little bit. These are the eyes they look with in the other world, and they disguise their face so the evil spirits don't recognize them when they've taken the headdress off again. After I finished my studies and I was working as a teacher of fine arts, I went to museums everywhere in Europe to study the old shaman costumes. And for me, that was a way to learn about shamanism, because by understanding the way the old costumes were constructed, learning about their symbology, I understand a little bit more about the world of the shaman. So this is a costume more than 100 years old. It comes from Mongolia, and I've had it for about 15 years now, and I've shown it to my students, but nobody has ever been wearing it. Today, for the first time, a person will wear it again after I don't know how many years. So for me, the costume is like a guest that lives at my home, and I really see it as a teacher, because sometimes people come, they pray with it, they lay down next to it, they dream with it, but it's the costume that is teaching them.
So I have to accept it for a while, for a moment, that it is true. So and suddenly with shamanism, the world of pictures, of archetypes, of symbols, of animals was in my life, and I was curious.
One of the important resources we have in shamanic work is the ancestors. The ancestors gave us our body, but also my Native American teachers told me that the way we think, the way we love, the way we perceive the world comes from the ancestors. So they, in a way, determine who we are. So to know where we are is also to know who our ancestors are. Also, in the conscious dreaming that we do in entering the other world, we need guides and friends to show us around there. And because the ancestors have passed on and they live in the spirit world, they are friends for us, they are guides, they are teachers. It is a form of conscious dreaming. So if you imagine that with the help of a drum and singing, you could enter a state of consciousness where you are still awake, but you are at the same time dreaming, and you can act consciously in your dream and choose where you want to go and with whom you communicate. So this trance, as we call it, conscious dreaming, is very essential in shamanism as a way to communicate between this world and what they call the spirit world.
I can experience that there is something more from the outside, like spirits, like helpers, like also souls which are around me, and I can use them, or they can help me to make my life here on earth, or they can support me in getting whole, or they can support me in my healing process.
The shamanic cultures teach us that everything that exists in this physical world exists also in the other world, in the spirit world. So a stone that you see in the forest, or a bird that flies by, or a river that you cross, is actually not only a physical being or object, but it is represented in the other world by a spirit. And in this other world, through the trance, you can communicate and speak with these spirits.
His singing and his rattling somehow enters my body, and it feels like the song or the words and the rattle sound rearranges parts of my body. It's also connected with a strong heat, and this warmth feels a bit like a heat band-aid.
We have a question, we have a lot of questions in our life, and sometimes you try to find some answers with, biology, physics, politics, psychology, literature, philosophy. And for me, shamanism is one of the ways to get some answers. And it is the reason why it became important, because I have a lot of questions, and every day I can practice something and get answers.
There are really big changes possible with the help of the outside or the help of the spirits. And of course it is nice to know how to call them.
For example, the eagle, and he's flying very high in the real life, and he has a distance to the things he can see. So when I want to invite distance in my life, I can imagine to be the eagle and to get it. And it is easier, when I have a picture for that to try on an abstract way to create distance to a situation. So every time when I need something, I invite the quality of an animal to come.
So I travel around, I get invited to many different countries, I meet different people in different groups. I take my rattle, I take my drum, I sing, I pray, I teach the people how to sing and pray. I teach how they can dream, how they can do the trance work, so that they build their own relationship with spirit. I stay for a few days, I go back home, I go to another place, I go back home, and I travel.